interview. Can you start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Walid. I'm majoring in computer engineering with a minor in applied AI. So I joined McGill in 2021, which means that right now I'm in my 5th year. To kind of give some background on myself, I come from Tunisia originally, which means I'm an international student here at McGill.
Can you talk a little bit about your high school background?
I originally did a French bac in Tunisia, so it was a public French high school in Tunisia. There was a reform in the French system where it was like we had specialties to pick. And 3 specialties that I picked was physics and chemistry, that's how they call it, maths, and comp sci.
Can you describe a little bit how computer engineering is built?
So it's a bachelor's. Technically, it's not a major, and the bachelor's is pretty long. It's over 133 credits, I believe, 30 something. And to kind of give you an idea at McGill, because it differs from uni to another, a class is either 3 to 4 credits most of the time. And so that represents around 4 to 5 years when you're an international student, maybe 5 if you don't want to go too fast because you choose your pace. And so you'll have a whole curriculum that's uploaded directly on the website. I used to not know that. You have an actual curriculum PDF file that tells you semester by semester, here's the recommended schedule that you're given. And so it's very structured. Like you start off with a year called U0. I'm sure many people talked about that if they're international or just not from Quebec. Because if you're not from Quebec, you're going to be doing that U0 year. And essentially, it's a bunch of additional classes that you'll have in common with other people. It can be people from like management, comp sci, engineering most of the time if you're an Eng. Then starting from U1, you'll really get into the main classes of your degree. And then moving into U2, U3, it's slightly different. So to kind of give you an idea at McGill how it goes, computer, electrical, and software engineering are under the same department and student society. So we end up having a lot of classes in common. In the case of computer engineering, both with electrical and in software, we have a lot of classes in common with both of them. And what happens is that starting from U3, which means your 4th year, even maybe U2, your 3rd year, you're going to have more and more classes just with computer engineers or with electrical, but not with software or the other way around. So you kind of get to specialize yourself a little bit more like that. And you also have 4 complementary classes at the end of your curriculum where you get to choose topics based on your own interests. And depending on whether you're more of a hardware guy, so electrical, or more of a software guy, software, you pick up classes to head into a direction or the other. And I've done that with software engineering personally. I'm not too much of a hardware guy. I just wanted to know really what was going on inside, and that was great.
Can you name one thing you like and one thing you dislike about your major?
I think that McGill in general, in engineering, and especially around software, doesn't really help students a lot to get internships. I didn't realize it when I started, but they're really a major part of how you really thrive kind of professionally, especially when you leave McGill. Like it's a no-brainer. Like you need to have done internships by the end of your degree. And in a lot of schools, when it comes to software eng or computer eng, schools directly help you land internships. Like in practice, they almost give you an internship if you have such like a GPA or certain skills or whatever, you'll get an interview. At McGill, it's not too much the case, and I wish it was. I believe they've created some office to do that recently, but it's still very slow. So that's something that I kind of dislike. I wish we had more hands-on projects as well. We do, but I wish we had more. So that's why extracurriculars, design teams, and all that type of stuff is really relevant. So something I do like, I would say the whole student life aspect, it's great. I realize that McGill is really particular in Canada when it comes to that, as opposed to pretty much all the other universities, especially in other provinces. McGill is great. When it comes to design teams, it's really nice. When it comes to student societies, when it comes to just clubs, everything, you'll find something to get into, and I heavily recommend it. So, and that's not only relevant because you're having fun, but also because you get to meet a lot of people, and getting to meet all those people allows you further on, like to build a network, know people and things like that. I think that's really important.
What kind of homework do you have?
Okay, so the most basic ones I would say in your first year, they're very similar to probably what you've done in high school, which is lots of maths problems. So they have their own platform called WebWork, where you would do plenty of like different math questions, and it would be due by a certain day. You'd have to input the right answer, not really explain too much your reasoning, but that was it, and that was what we mostly did in first year, so U0. Then once we actually got into the classes of your degree, some classes don't have assignments at all because students tend to cheat a lot, but what they do is either quizzes in class or like midterms and things like that, so they insist more on that. But other classes do still do like assignments, and for those assignments they have a certain platform where you just scan your document after solving all the questions and actually explaining how you did it, like solving the actual problems, and then just scanning it as a PDF and then just uploading every single page. So that's what you do for classes like circuits, other math classes that you have to take, statistics, things like that, like many of those classes. Apart from that, it's a lot of projects. Again, they span kind of over the whole semester, and you kind of have reports or deliverables to deliver about every 3 weeks during your specific semester. So that's the case in pretty much all programming classes. And yeah, I completely forgot as well to talk about classic programming classes. You do have assignments where you have to submit your whole code inside a zip file, and then they will go through your code. They check for plagiarism and things like that. But yeah, the most interesting homework is mostly the projects, where usually you're in groups of 6. They really like groups of 6. The biggest assignment that you have is really your capstone project at the end of your degree, where you have 2 entire semesters to work on a single project within a team of a certain number of people, depending on the major. I mean, computer engineering was 4. I just completed my capstone project. And it's really interesting because you get to work with a company or with a professor.
What was the topic of your capstone project?
The topic of my capstone project was a robot for hospital use. So there is this one prof, which you might know actually, Roman, Joseph Vibahal.
Oh yeah, I know.
He's from the Faculty of Computer Science, and he has a bunch of robots in his lab. One of them being this robot, which was like a kind of dead appliance from the 1990s, so it was very old. Capstone Project had worked on it before us, back in 2014, and it was completely dead. So we kind of reworked it, revamped it, did the whole electrical system, because your capstone, you do it hand in hand with both software, electrical, and computer engineers, so it's really mixed.
That's really cool.
And that's what we did. We revamped the whole project. I was really on the software side, so I added a lot of AI stuff into it, computer vision, so kind of being able to see things, being able to talk with it directly so that it does actions. So it was really nice.
That's really cool. Can you give one piece of advice to prospectives in your major?
Okay, one piece of advice, especially kind of on the job market, I was thinking about it recently, is that you do see a lot of, especially influencers, kind of around software engineering or computer engineering, talk a lot about you have to apply for plenty of internships in order to get an interview. Like you have to apply, and you see those videos where some guys are just like, I applied for 300 internships just to get a single interview, things like that. That applies for computer science as well.
Yep.
That's not, I believe, the best way of landing internships. I think just taking the time to pause earlier in your degree and thinking, what do I want to do? Do I really want to get into a purely software engineering job? Do I want to get into different fields? So maybe something more AI specific, so ML engineer, or more something like consulting, cybersecurity, cloud, whatever. It can really be anything, even project management, product management, things that are less technical. Think about what are the 2 or 3 branches that you really want to get into, and really focusing on applying for those jobs, but not only applying for them, and that's the catch, networking with people that are specifically in those fields and trying to target those companies specifically. So you cater your whole resume for them, but you also try to get referrals for people in that field. So use LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is very useful for that. Go to networking events and really try to like have coffee chats, which means like small 15-minute meetings with people from the teams that you want to join, and that will really help you. And then the interview process within a specific field will be about the same, so you can just really cater yourself for that specific interview process. That's kind of what I'm doing with like cloud data and AI personally.
What do you plan on doing after this degree? Are you considering doing a master's, or do you want to go in the job industry straight away?
Planning to get into directly the professional life. So I've completed an internship at PwC last summer on the cloud data and AI team, and I got a return offer to come back to their team. So that's something that I'm considering. So it's a full-time return offer. I'm also considering other positions eventually, but it's mostly things in like cloud, so solutions architect, things like that. Maybe product management even, but that's more of a long-term thing. But yeah, mostly getting into the professional life. And then later on, I'm considering something like an MBA.
Do you find it hard to balance school and your social life?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult, especially this year for me. Being able to manage school and managing grades are like high enough while being involved at the same time and being even able to see friends outside of school, because sometimes when you get too much into involvement, you keep seeing all the same people, but you don't see people outside. Add on to that, like professional life or even personal relationships, like actual dating someone. That whole combination of all that, maintaining it is very complicated.
Okay.
So you end up seeing people that really get into a few of these, but kind of have to put things on the side.
Okay.
So I got a lot involved since I started my degree, and that's one of the best things that I've done. I think the best thing that you can do is really to kind of get involved slowly at the beginning, and then as you go throughout the years, stay kind of within the same clubs and stuff, and try to get like higher up if that's something that interests you.
Last question. If you can describe it, how is the overall vibe in your classes and do you like it?
I would say that my impression kind of moving from a high school where I really knew everyone, because that was the same people I knew since I was just a kid, to getting into McGill, especially since the first year was kind of hybrid. It was a bit difficult for me because I felt like I would get into a class and people would just be on their computer and not really talk to each other too much. So I kind of had that impression. But then once you kind of start getting involved and seeing those people, you end up seeing more of those people that you've met in your classes and kind of start bonding with them a bit more. So kind of there's a lot of that. I would say that in your classes is that you have about 20% of people that are really involved and really social and talking with people and everything. And then you have maybe 30% that just come to class, and then 50% that just don't even come to class. I don't even know where they are. But if you do go to class and you start knowing some people from both inside the class and outside and so on, as the years or just the semesters pass by, I would say by your year U2, you could know a lot of people and really feel like in your class the vibes are great.
Well, that's it for the interview. Thank you so much, Riley.
No worries.